Hi everyone, how are you all? I hope you had a good weekend. Okay, it's Monday, and welcome to another IELTS lunch break with Fabi. Okay, and we meet every Monday and Wednesday at 12 p.m. All right, and in these lives, I'll tell you everything you need to know to get a 7 in writing. Okay, guys. So I don't know if you managed to have a look at the lives from last week. All right, so we had a very good one. Hi, Carlos. Hi, how are you? Carlos, if you have any questions, just pop the questions in there. Okay, cool. I have some questions here already, but if you have any questions, just let me know. Same, if you didn't get a chance to look at the lives from last week, they were pretty cool ones. And one of the best ones, I think, was the one when I talked about the passive voice. And it was a very popular one. Okay, so I'm quite excited that the lives that I'm doing talking about grammar have been quite popular. Okay, and the reason is because I feel that what's stopping a lot of people from getting a 7 is grammar, and a lot of people overlook grammar. All right, so I've been helping a lot of people who have been studying English for a long time, or people who speak English very well but still make those silly mistakes. Okay, and that's what's gonna stop you from getting a 7. Okay, so if you want to know more about grammar, head to my YouTube channel, Fabi English on YouTube, and you will find the one about the passive was pretty cool. Really nice. Yeah. And today we are going to talk a little bit about vocabulary. All right, guys. So again, there are things that you need, okay, if you want to get a 7 plus in writing, and one of them is vocabulary. All right, so when you think about vocabulary for a 7 in writing, we have to think about the vocabulary that you need, okay, guys, and also we have to think about the use. All right, and we think about the spelling. Okay, so we have to think about all of these things, okay, so we can actually get a 7 plus in writing. Okie dokie. All right, guys. So but today, actually, the title of the live today is like how to use better words to get a 7 plus in writing. All right, guys. Yeah, so how to get a 7 plus in writing using the better words that you need. Okay, cool. So I'm going to share with you today 3 things that you can do, okay, to improve your vocabulary so you can get a 7 plus in writing. Okay, one is very common, the other one not so common, and the other one I think is the best one, and few people do. Okay, cool. So let's start with the first one. So the common way to improve your vocabulary so you can get a 7 plus in writing is by reading more. Okay, how many times have you heard that? I've said it many times. I've heard it many times myself, okay? But and again, I completely agree with it, okay, guys? So I think that if you're reading, not just reading, if you're doing things in English, watching more TV, okay? So if you're in like English environment, and more specifically, okay, I think that you should be in an environment that is, how can I explain? It's an environment that where you should have more academic classes. Not classes, academic vocabulary. Okay, guys? So yeah. So if you have more academic vocabulary, okay, so I think in one live a few weeks ago, I mentioned watching documentaries instead of just watching Netflix series. Okay, so that's an option that you can have. Okay, so I agree. So being in contact with all of these things is very important. Okay, but when we are reading or watching, okay, something in English so we can improve our vocabulary, what we are doing mostly is what we call recognition. So you're recognizing vocabulary, right? So you are watching something and you can understand, okay? However, just doing that might not be enough to get a 7 in IELTS, okay? Because think about the reading, for example, right? So you're doing the reading and you can do the reading, you can read things and you can get the answer right, okay? But then when it comes to writing, you really need to know the words and you really need to use them well. All right, guys? So I would say that when people tell you, oh, you should read more if you want to improve your vocabulary, okay? You can do that, all right? But think of it as a two-step thing, okay? Think of it as a two-step thing, okie dokie. And the first thing you do then is to recognize. So you see something new, all right? Or maybe one word that you heard a long time ago and you completely forgot about it and you see it again, you're like, oh my God, I know this word, okay? But then maybe the reason you forgot about the word is because you are not using it. All right. So to me, you should think about this as a two-step thing. Okay. So you see it, you recognize it. All right. Okay. And then after you recognize it, maybe you try to use it. All right, so maybe that's why people say that, oh, I read in English, but I can't improve my vocabulary. I'm still getting a 6 or a 6.5 on the IELTS test, okay? Maybe that's why, all right? And things you can do. I think the best way is to write sentences. You know, my students, they know I always tell them to write 5 sentences. Choose 5 words and write 5 sentences. Yeah. And I think it's quite helpful, okay? Because what do you have to do on the day of the test? Write sentences, okay? So I feel that if you want to improve your vocabulary and if you want a high score on the IELTS test, okay, just reading might not be enough, okay? For some people it is, you know, some people they're very good at looking at a word, you know, reading something or listening to something, they look at the word and then they go ahead and they manage to actually use it later. But some people are not like that. Okay, so my suggestion is, so if you want to go with the most common way of practicing vocabulary, of learning more vocabulary, which is to read or watch things in English, think of it as a two-step thing. So first of all, look at the word, recognize it, this is a good word, or, oh, I didn't know this word, look it up. And then make sentences, okay? So having a vocabulary book is also extremely important. Okay, so you have like your own little dictionary kind of thing. All right, cool. So that was one thing. The second thing is, I don't think a lot of people use this strategy, okay, to have better vocabulary in the writing part of the IELTS exam. I used it a lot, especially when I was studying for the CPE exam, okay? I don't know if you guys are familiar with the CPE exam, but it's a Cambridge exam. And yeah, and it's the last Cambridge exam. So Cambridge has lots of levels. It's the top level. Only crazy people do this exam. And yeah, so when I was studying for it and practicing for it, it helped me a lot. And that's why I'm going to share with you. Okay, so I don't know if you have had a chance to see the video I have about the writing steps, okay? Because as you know, a lot of people, they struggle with the writing, and then I created these steps, okay? Just to help people think, just get through with it, you know, and then just don't feel so lost when they're doing the writing, okay? And one of the steps there, I call topic, all right? So in this step, topic, what I do is I go ahead, okay, and I suggest people look at the at the task itself, okay, and think about the topic, okay? So a common topic is environment, another topic is education. So look at that topic and think about it. What do I know about the topic? All right, so that's a very good step. And again, if you are just practicing for the exam, maybe you can spend 5 minutes on it. On the day of the exam, you can spend a few seconds in it, 1 minute, 30 seconds, 1 minute, all right? But my suggestion is, when you are looking at this topic and you're thinking about it, okay, the topic is education. What do I know about education? Okay, so the topic is about education, and they're talking about schools for only for boys and schools only for girls or mixed schools. So that's the topic. And you start thinking about it, okay, what do I know about this topic? Do I agree, disagree? Do I have to talk about both sides? What do I have to do here? At this moment, something you can do that helped me a lot, okay, guys, I've done it, it helps a lot, okay? When you are thinking about this topic, try to think about all the good words you know about the topic and write them down, okay? So, for example, let's say that the topic is education, all right? And you know, like, let's talk about mixed schools, okay? So, so you know some really good words related to that. Maybe you can think about them and use them there, all right? So let's see if I can think of anything now. I should have written that before, but I didn't. All right, cool. So let me think. So maybe you can say that if you're thinking about men, boys and girls together, maybe it's more convenient. I don't know. All right. Or maybe if it's a mixed schools, maybe boys and girls can grow up and be more open-minded. So yeah, so you start thinking about the topic and start thinking about all the good words you know about the topic. That's a nice way of doing it. Okay, guys. However, it's a process, okay? So maybe the very first time you do it, maybe it's gonna be a little bit difficult for you, but try, okay? Keep trying, and if you try and you think it's too difficult, send me a message, okay? And I can help you with that. All right, it worked for me, and I bet it worked for you too. Okay, cool. Then the next one is, oh yeah, so a lot of people, they get stuck on this 6.5, okay? And it's really hard for them to get to the 7, okay? And one thing that I think few people do, and it's one of the things I do with my students every week, okay, is how can we say it better? All right, so some people, the reason they are stuck in the 6.5 and they can't get to the 7, all right, it's because the words they are using, what they are using, is not a 7 yet, okay? And some people question it because they say, oh my God, I don't have a lot of mistakes. How come I can get the 7? Okay, so the reason is sometimes you are not making mistakes because the things you are using are quite simple, like simple words, okay? So you have to try and use more sophisticated words. All right, so I call it say it better. Okay, so how can we say this better? And if a student approaches me saying that they need a high score, the first thing I will do, I will look at the writing, of course, we'll work on the structure, and then the next step is usually to think about how can you say these things better, because the student, they know how to say things, all right? But then sometimes 1 or 2 words could be a little bit better, okay? So, for example, there's a very popular task that I share with my students, talking about, I think, advantages and disadvantages to houses and apartments, okay? And then people, they talk about it, and they go and they say, oh my God, yeah, because houses, one of the bad things about houses is that it takes a lot of money because you have to take care of the garden, and the house is big, and then you have to pay for this and pay for that. And I'm like, okay, so can you tell me one word that describes all of that? I said, what do you mean? Yeah, you talked about working in the garden. You know, if something breaks, it's more expensive to fix if you compare it to an apartment. I'm like, what's one word? And they're like, I don't know. And I'll say, maintenance. Okay, so it's expensive because it's high maintenance. A house is high maintenance. So instead of saying, oh, you have to pay a lot of money to do this, oh, it's high maintenance, okay? Or the maintenance is expensive, that kind of thing, okay? Another one, for example, could be, oh, I like apartments because it's easy, because it's in the center of the city. Okay, Is it, maybe you can say convenient, okay? Oh, the location is convenient, or apartments are usually in a convenient location. All right, so that's the kind of thing I'm talking about, okay? So if you have been studying for the IELTS, you probably have had someone look at your writing, okay? And if by any chance the person who's looking at your writing is not telling you the ways you could say things better, especially when it comes to vocabulary, ask your teacher, your tutor, okay? So ask them, okay, so how can I be a 7 here? All right, which words do I have to use? Okay, so maybe they will give you lots of things and then you're gonna be a bit overwhelmed. But maybe a good start is to look at the things that you already have and think about how can this be better? Okay, so it's something that I do with my students quite often, and I think that some people, they overlook it. Okay, and usually when you ask someone, oh, how can I improve my vocabulary, people will say, oh, read more. Okay, but again, like I said before, it's not just about reading more. Okay, I do think that there are 2 steps for it. All right, okay, so guys, do you have any questions? I already have some questions here. Okay, all right, so Carlos, you wrote budget there. Yeah, so for example, like some people say, oh, because this can be expensive. Oh no, you can do things on a budget. Maybe that's another word too that you can use. Okay, do you have any questions, guys? I missed some of the messages here. Okay, but I caught up now. Okay, so as you know, so some people can't make it to the lives. Okay, and because I think that lunchtime is a good time, but some people, they still can't make it. Okay, but some people, they are sending me some questions. Okay, so every time I send them an email about the lives, oh, the live's gonna be about this topic, and they say, oh, I can make it, but I would like to ask a question, and I have 2 questions today to share with you. Okay, the first question was, what's the best way to practice vocabulary? Okay, I think that the best way to practice vocabulary, especially if you want a 7+ in writing, is definitely by making sentences, okay? So if we go back to the first thing I told you guys today, all right, which was reading, okay, looking at things and trying to get vocabulary from there. Once you get that, use it, okay? So one thing I do a lot with my students, it's kind of back to front, okay? So we start, sometimes we look at vocabulary before we do the writing, okay? I also do that with speaking, and I think it's pretty good because sometimes people, they can't, they're not very good at getting the words because they are under a lot of pressure. So if you practice before, getting the words before and then doing the writing, maybe that can help you. Okay, so maybe that's a good way of doing this. One thing you can do, for example, actually I do this a lot with my students too. It's when you see a topic, okay, so of course, when you're practicing for the IELTS writing, there are 2 ways of practicing. You can practice it under exam conditions, or you can practice strategies. Okay, so if you practice under exam conditions, you do task 1 and task 2 in 1 hour. But if you want to practice your strategies, try different things, maybe you can do it in 1 hour, hour and a half. Okay, maybe task 2 in 1 hour and task 1 in 30 minutes, okay? So when you're practicing like this, something you can do, maybe you can look at the topic, okay, and the task, and you think about, oh, right, okay, so this topic, I don't know much about this topic. Maybe you can read about the topic a little bit, get some nice words, and then use the words. Okay, so that's something you can do, and that's a good way of practicing it too, okay? But I believe in writing sentences and practicing and revising, definitely the best way, okay? And then the next question was, where can I find good IELTS vocabulary? Okay. So there are some books that you can use, okay? One book that I like a lot is called Vocabulary for IELTS, okay? And the reason I like this book, it's because it's divided into types of vocabulary, okay? So they talk about traveling, they talk about the environment, they talk about education, they talk about all of this history. There's actually a section about history. So they have all of these ones, okay? So let's say you think, oh my God, I had to do a writing last week about this specific topic and I didn't do well. Maybe because you don't know much about the topic. So head to the book and have a look at it, okay? And another good thing is that they have activities, so you can do the activities and you can practice. And most of the activities, they are similar to the IELTS exam. Okay, guys, so that's how they work. All right. Okay, so these were the 2 questions I got this morning. So what's the best way to practice vocabulary if you want to 7 on the IELTS, okay? And also where you can find vocabulary, okay? Any other questions? Have a question, Carlos? Any questions? No questions today? Okie dokie, all right. Okay, so guys, if you have any other questions, feel free to send me an email, okay? fabi@fabyenglish.com. You can also send me a message on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube, okay? Oh, no questions, no worries. Okay, yeah, so, but if you have any questions later, if you want to know anything else, just get in touch, okay? If you need help with the structure for the IELTS Writing Task 2, head to my website, okay, www.fabyenglish.com, and there you will find a mini course, okay, so IELTS Writing Mini Course, it's a free course, and that helps you with the structure of the writing task 2, yeah. And last week I was chatting with a student, and she's doing the IELTS next week, and she said that as soon as I give her another writing task to do, the first thing she does, she looks at the task. Oh, it's advantages. She heads to the course and she watches the lesson again. I think each lesson is from 5 to 10 minutes. And then she says that just by watching again, and then she goes and she does the writing for me. And her structure has improved a lot, guys. So I think it's a very good course. Okie dokie. All right, so I'm gonna head out, and I'll see you back on Wednesday, 12 p.m. Okay, see ya, bye.